Welcome back. So we're joking backstage about what we need for our mental health. And Jeffrey said, come on, dear, what you need for your own mental health is money. Maybe that's what we all need. But that was very good for television. And we're bringing you more interesting stuff. So from the theoretical aspect of, digital education, if you like, artificial intelligence, to the practical digital content creation. And joining us on this segment is digital creator Eric Gugua. He's right here in our Lagos studio. Good morning, Eric. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your patience.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's very good to have you.
Great to be here.
So where is your fork? Because I'm looking forward to you creating some content right here.
I would have brought it along with me, but unfortunately, it's not here.
What's the idea behind it? Beautiful, by the way.
It's very interesting. It's just a different approach, right? I started it as a way to get better sound, because I figured mics are better when they are closer, right? So, and the fact that it also brings a comic edge, it's also good for engagement. There's no reason to drop it. Even if I do have access to better, I think that I'm just going to stick with that.
Eric, I think I want to report you to Nigerians. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So, T-Pain, when he started singing for a very long time, using auto-tune.
Yeah.
So we thought it was artistic deficiency. We didn't know it was an artistic choice until we saw him do Tennessee Whiskey. And they were like, whoa. I watch you a lot on social media.
Yeah.
And then you deceived us that you can't speak English without all those R and L. Now you are sounding as fluent as this. So it's an artistic choice, right?
Is it? Because in my head, when people say, I've heard you now, you speak this way, this is your real accent, in my head I'm wondering, so which one is which? Do you want to believe that this is my real accent, or do you want to believe like the one that I talk with is my real accent? Because I can be feigning this one as well. Who knows?
Philosophical. So he wants to use our head.
No, I'm still in the business of, it's the process.
You're discovering yourself. Yes. Before we get into what you do, let's get into the other thing that you should have brought here, aside the fork. You should have brought a bucket.
Aha!
I know we shouldn't have gone there, but let's just get it out of the way.
It's okay to get there.
Particularly for Barcelona fans. What is it? What do you have against them? Some of them are just, they've muted this show. Because they're like, we're going to watch, but we don't want to hear him speak. Why are you happy?
People think I hate it was a hate watch. It wasn't a hate watch. And people may not expect this, but I'm an Inter fan. I've been an Inter fan for 21 years, right?
Wow.
And it's easy to not pick up on that because we know they two do well, you get. But the day that we do well, best believe I'm going to shout out.
So where's your bucket for the fans of Barcelona?
It's backstage. It's backstage. I will begin from the gate to take it on my way.
Well, thank God I did not belong to any of the clubs.
It would have been a hard time for you.
But Eric, you touch on all subjects, and for me, that's interesting. I watch your content. Today, you're talking about gender. The other day, you're talking about dating. Also, you talk about, trying to find yourself through a job and all of that. And that's quite beautiful, speaking to all classes of people. Now, for somebody who's watching you and asking, I want to be a content creator as well, how did you find yourself, and how can they navigate through all the ideas playing in their heads such that they can come out as unique as you are?
Well, this thing is something that I say very, very often. Like, we are on a journey. I am on a journey. And if there's any phrase I use very often when I speak with people, it's that clarity comes on the way. A lot of clarity comes on the way. There's never really that point where you're like, okay, I've found what I'm looking for. I've found, an identity or this or that. You just need a basic understanding of what you're trying to do. You launch out. A lot of clarity comes along if you're objective enough to adapt, to evolve on the way. Personally, for me, I don't even think I have niched down yet. Like you said, still talk about very many things. The idea is just social influence. Curating people's not just experiences but mindsets as well to some of the values that we've now begun to lose touch with, I would say. So it's a process.
So why is the subject of morality and uprightness important to you?
These are narratives that, or these are things that we grew up a lot. We grew up around, right? And I think it's incredibly sad to see, or for us to see at any point. I'm not saying it about this generation, but at any point where a generation grows up or is growing without these values being instilled in them, right? We grew up in a time when you can't go to school and come back with new sandals and nobody will ask you, where did this thing come from, right? You go hear them. But we live in a day, or in a day and a time where people can come back with a full house and, we're celebrating, So some of these things, we grew up around them. It's helped, it's shaped our lives. It made society better. And it will be sad to see a time come when these things are brushed aside.
And it's good to see that you're a crusader in some sense, still sticking to some of these values, but it comes at a cost sometimes, particularly again in a space where it's so funny, they're actually alignments on social media.
Yeah.
It's like they are cults. So if
Everywhere.
you are against a certain ideology or a certain group of people, they come for you. Maybe it gets you the views, but there's always a lot of vitriol, a lot of negativity, and all of that. So sometimes you ever wonder, is it worth it? Because maybe you look at your comments and 80% are just negative comments attacking you, attacking maybe your beliefs, attacking your content.
Yeah.
Does it get at you? And how do you ensure that you still continue doing your thing? Because you also want to pepper them in some sense. But then that is now not your primary concern. So always do things to pepper them, but stay on your goal.
So that's a very interesting question. So the first thing is that my content is not just born. The face of it may look very moral, right? But my content is born of faith. It's born of my faith.
Yeah.
So out of that, everything springs out. So the question of whether I get discouraged or whether I think is it worth it is a question that now ties back to my faith. Do I think my faith and my belief is worth it? Which, I mean, if you don't think so, then that's the entire point of religion is lost on you. But even furthermore, I think that what we've been able to do is we've been able to create, and that's something that we're trying to progressively do as well, create a community of people who share these values. For instance, I cannot relate to the fact or to the idea of people, or at least an entire mob of people disagreeing or, backlashing, if there's a word like that, when I put out certain stuff, no matter how controversial they may be, right? We've been able to put together a community of people who think alike. It's not really an echo chamber type thing, but it's a community. It's a fellowship. We're fellows in thought, I would say. Now, where that comes in is if a blog or a page, outside of my community takes my content and then they post it, I don't go there. Do not
marry a woman who prioritizes her pastor. I think that was something that was trending.
Yes,
recently.
it did trend recently. Yes.
Did you get a lot of backlash for that as well?
No. And I understand why I didn't get a lot of backlash on that, because there's already a lot of animosity, already a lot of, what I say, dislike for that kind of thing. I don't want to say pastors, right? So it just seemed to play into a narrative that was already established. So we didn't get a lot of hate for that. But other things like that, we've enjoyed quite some hate.
Well, I know a lot of your fans are watching you speaking the very big English echo chamber and all of that, but they want to hear the le and the re. So I want to hear it too. But as you prepare to go into character, I want you to talk to us about the challenges and how you transit into commercializing your platform, because what is the transition for somebody who is trying so hard to make an impact through content creation? What is the transition point between your exerting all of the time and creativity? How do you commercialize your platforms?
A lot of our lives will come out of just living, to get just living. A lot of the things that people are trying to maybe achieve, right, comes out of just, if you have the life, just live it. So a lot of the brands that I work with now, they reach out particularly, and I'm very careful to say this, because the brand is established. My brand is established as a brand that we will not do anything just for the profit. We value our name. So if we stand behind a system like this, it's people trust that if Eric can talk about this thing, then this thing is worth following. So I would say that even though that was not the intention from the start, the commercial is like, it's a byproduct. It's a very welcome bonus, right? But if we try to focus on what we came to do, I think that success it comes along the way.
I'm looking at your TikTok page. You don't follow anybody, yet over 300,000 people follow you. Maybe explain why. That's on one hand. I also know I think you're into blockchain as well.
Yes, I am.
And all of that. I know the market is very bearish right now. It's on the
cryptocurrency market.
Yes.
I'm not very interested in cryptocurrency.
Yes, so I know that the numbers are not, they are just oscillated in that sense. So it's not, I know you talked about it, that this is not a good time to talk to crypto boys because... So for people who just think that you do just content and don't know that you do this behind, which can get you a lot of money, maybe you have to advise them on how to aggregate their entirety in that sense to be able to be the most, just amplifying what Bukola has said in that sense.
So,
but also answer why you're not following anybody.
Okay, so I'm not following anybody on TikTok because I don't use TikTok. When I randomly meet somebody, and it happens very often, and they're like, I follow you on TikTok, it's just so weird to me, right? Because TikTok is somewhere that I know people are there, people use this thing, so we have to be talking to people there. So I just make sure I post there.
So are you on Instagram more?
Oh, I'm on Instagram a lot more. Any message I get on Instagram, I see almost all. I just don't respond, but to most. But I see everything that goes on there. But when it comes to, there was a follow-up question that you asked about.
Yes, about aggregation. People may not know you're into crypto, blockchain, and all.
So I have a life. Content is just one part of it. I do have a life, right? I have a master's degree in blockchain and digital currencies. So it's kind of like, I was very interested in the space. Not really the money side of things, cryptocurrency. It's good, trading the markets, profits here and there, it's great. But for me, it's more about the potential of the blockchain and what it can do for the African continent. It's vastly untapped. The potential is massive. And I've had an interest in it for over a decade now, hence my studies in that area. And now I just work with a couple of startups to either curate products or marketing endeavors.
So just to add to that question before Kayode comes, is it healthy that we're now building, because a lot of young people, because of what is going on in the economy and people finish school or they're in school, they are focused more on maybe Forex or crypto. Nothing like goods and services in that sense. Are we building a healthy society in the long run from where you see if everybody is gravitating, or a lot of people, let me use my words carefully, gravitating towards that without necessarily some enterprise in that sense?
Quick answer, no. We are not. Because if everybody is in a speculative market like trading finance, because it's purely speculative. And while I think the blockchain is here to stay, we went for an outreach somewhere deep in Abia State at some point, and after that, secondary school kids in their numbers, and when they came, they were all asking questions about how can we trade crypto, right? You see how far this has gone. And not everybody, just a small portion of traders will be successful. But if we can broaden our perspective, our horizon, and look beyond that, look into applications of blockchain technology on its own, that's where the true potential is. Trading financial markets, cryptocurrencies can only do so much. And the truth is only about 10% of traders are successful. So there's that as well.
There you go. So something to keep in mind. When you said, by the way, we'll get you to share your message as people know you. But when you said you have a life, the natural question people usually ask is, do you have a wife? Because they rhyme, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
what is that like for you? I know a lot of people have also said you look like Chidek, and interestingly, you're friends. You've been friends for years
We've
now.
been friends for a very long time.
And somehow you still look alike.
So when people ask, I just say things like, we've known each other a very long time. He's like a brother to me.
Right.
but he's actually my brother. He's my elder brother.
Eh?
Yes, he is.
There you have your answer.
Good. So
Your blood brother.
Yes.
that explains it. So
Okay.
do you have a life? Do you have a wife?
I do have a life. I try to keep my my life very private. I try to, but no, I do not have a wife.
Okay, so what message do you have? Because people have been looking at your finger, I must say.
There's nothing there.
They'll be looking at your finger. And they,
Sometimes there's something there, other times there's nothing there. It's just, Eric is a very interesting person.
So what message do you have for your people? So that is your camera,
Okay.
Brian, and
Yeah.
you don't have a fork, but you have a microphone, which
Yes.
is very sound. So what message do you have today?
I don't know how I'm going to start this message now, but if there's anything I'm going to say to you, I'll just say, I beg, whatever it takes, you have your own individuality, your personality. Don't trade it and try to become another person, right? You have your journey, please stick to it, and God will provide the resources for you to be able to do you successfully.
There you go. Stick to your journey. You're Jidek and his brother.
Wow. We're all wowed by this segment. Thank you so much for your inspiration.
Thank you so
and we look forward to having you once again on the program.
Definitely.
This time we're going to be celebrating more of your success stories. Eric Gugua has been our guest on this segment, digital content creator, very visible on Instagram. But you find him also on other platforms, speaking to those issues that are important to you. There's more to come on the program. This time, we'll be serenading you with some gospel tunes. So stay with us, we'll be right back.